What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm in the sauna today. I hope the mic sounds good because it's echoing off the glass in front of me. But I'm at a buddy's house. I'm in Dallas right now and jumping in the sauna. I just got in the pool. Now I'm back in the sauna. So I haven't started sweating that much again because I'm cooled off because the pool's cold. Oh, man. My buddy here just bought a brand new house. Pretty cool. And it just reminded me, I'm not going to go into what he does, but it just reminded me of like when I was building houses and how I wondered what these people did at first. And then I started getting custom clients and I built the houses for these people. I started to understand a lot what they did. And a lot of the people I was building houses for, you know, especially when I was young. So I used to work on houses before, right? Construction side. And I'd be, you know, doing the rebar, running the skid steer, or whatever it was I was doing at the time. And I was wondering, like, what do these people do? And then I started building for them. And some of them were, you know, doctors that were lawyers or CFOs, high W-2 earners, you know. But then I got to the point where I would see these monster houses, right? I was building good sized houses, 4,000, 5,000, 5,500 square foot houses. But I was like, who owns these big houses, right? And this is in Oklahoma. And it was people that started or sold an oil and gas company, entrepreneurs. And I was like, dang. And then there would be the people that had like more time, and there'd be the younger couples. And I was like, what did they do? Every single one of them was an entrepreneur in some capacity. There was the wealthy, right? There's the W-2 earners, high W-2 earners, formally educated, got a degree, used that. But a lot of times, like if it was an attorney, he ended up starting his own firm. If it was a CFO, he was corporate for a while, did really well in the company. Oil and gas companies go up and down so often, so the oil and gas company would shut down, and then he'd end up doing consulting on his own, and then he'd get hired a little bit part-time, but they never really go back, especially like if they hit the crash or the company falls apart that they were a part of, maybe not their fault. But I say all that because if you guys are in construction, or if you've just wondered, if you've driven around with your wife looking at Christmas lights, and you're like, what do these people do? It's all over the place, and I did the same thing. And I just still remember to this day being like, I want that. I don't want to be the guy working on it, right? And building was going to make me working on it. And even the older guys that I saw had nice homes. They built their own homes, but they didn't have a lot of the freedom because they still have to build another home for, you know, Debbie and John, or this other doctor, this other, you know, surgeon, or this owner of an energy company, you know. And a lot of them always invested in real estate as well, but they weren't real estate investors specifically. But in my mind, I was like, what do they do? And then some of them I would realize I didn't have any time. Like the husband would be gone. I'd be dealing with the wife a lot when we were doing a lot of custom designs and things like that. Those are mainly the W-2 people, or people building an operation, going to a corporate office or whatever. And I kind of I fell into the trap at first building, and that's where this is going. But then I realized, like, dude, I'm not going to be able to live the lifestyle that I want. I can have the house because I did it for, you know, 70%, 80% of cost. But I'm gonna have to go build more and more and more. And then like, what does that scale? And then my time was never back. And I was like, I wanna be able to travel. And when I was building and making money, you know, the peak point, we almost got to 10 million in gross revenue at our peak building phase. And I was just like, this is not what I wanna do. Like I didn't have any time whatsoever. So I valued the time a lot. I was like, that's what clicked me over to real estate investing in the beginning, right? I started reading the books, podcasts, bigger pockets. And I was like, dang, I want to figure out how to have the money and the time, because the money's worthless with no time, in my opinion. And then the alternate could be said for having a bunch of time and no money, right? Beach bums, okay? And so I was like, how do I figure that out? So there's only a few lanes. So when you start deductive reasoning of like, what's going to fit the life that I want, most of us just start with like, well, my Uncle John was an oil and gas. Well, my dad was an attorney, so I'll work at his firm after I graduate college, you know, or me, I'll work for my dad when I get out of the military and do construction. And it just none of it gave me, you know, aligned with it. Even when I was working hard and building these big houses and making money, the time was stolen from me. But if you guys are ever wondering what those people do, a lot of them start businesses, they grind and then they sell businesses, they scale businesses. But the guys that I saw with the most time, the ones that would meet me on the job wherever, the ones that had the gym at the house, or they could travel around a lot, or their family would be out of town because they're on vacation for 3 months, or he would be able to work from that, doing that. They're running operations, they're running companies. And so that's when I started, like I said, diving into real estate investing. And I thought of it like this, because I have a service business and I've built other companies, and I was like, employees are hard. Having people and managing people and building a team like that is difficult. And kudos to everybody that goes and does that. But you're able to do and leverage a lot when you have a small team in real estate investing. And then you think of the houses, you think of the units, whether you do multifamily, single family, you think of those as your as your employees, because they're paying you like little bits at a time. And the cool part is those go up in value, and then you get depreciation on them, so you don't have to pay as much taxes. I bring this all back because, you know, I was able to get into that and do that while still building. And meanwhile, I'm building a company. I want people to understand, like, I'm making some money, but I'm not making enough money to go what most people, like a doctor money. And I'm not able to go put 20, 30% down on properties. And so I had to use some of the tools that I learned from educating myself and working in other programs and getting coaches and mentors myself and learning how to leverage that and buy assets where I could create the equity instantly and also cash flow simultaneously. Meaning, right when I was done with rehabbing a property, whether it was just, you know, $100,000 property, I could have equity in it right at the beginning. And then, so I didn't create it, right? Equity is you put the money into the deal. So if you had to put 20% down, that's your equity. But if you create it by buying the property cheaper, fixing the property, cleaning it up, you don't have to be a construction genius to do that. Then what you can do is you can turn around and you have the equity in your portfolio. And if you want to keep that property, you either refinance it. A lot of people are familiar with the BRRRR model, right? And that's the concept, but risk comes along with that. And the risk that comes along with that is, like, if you can't flip it, if you can't sell it, or you can't rent it, then what do you do? And so I learned a lot about contract for deeds, land contracts, seller financing. I really dove into the creative exiting side. I understand the creative buy side, but the creative exiting side. And when I started to do that, that's when, like, the cash flow would start to go. And then I get another property, another property, another property, another property. And then those would start to compound. And I'm making $1,000 a month doing nothing. I'm making $2,000, $3,000, $5,000. And I keep going. And I was like, this is legit. Like, this is a strategy that I can compound and do for a long period of time. It's going to pay off in the upfront. It's going to pay off from the tax side, and it's going to pay off from the cash flow side. And so I just, like, this is just a slow trajectory route. Like, this is where we need to go. And sometimes what I'm trying to say to you guys is that boring things like this, like what I'm talking about, buying affordable houses, sub $250,000, sub $300,000 here in the South and the Midwest, as I visit here from California, boom, 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 boom. That's what I needed, because then it didn't take me a bunch of time. I could start analyzing deals. I could get some few people in place and buy these and accumulate these. That's what I wanted to do, because I didn't want it to be emotional. I didn't want, and people are emotional. So if you got employees, it's emotional, right? Why did they quit? Well, my wife got sick, or Tommy down the street gave me $2 more an hour, or these guys gonna bump my salary, or these are better perks, things like that. So people do get emotional, and so that's a liability, right? People don't take into consideration of that. They're telling you all go buy businesses, but I'm telling you right now that I had to step outside. My phone got overheated and hit emergency mode. What I said is, a lot of people go buy businesses and they think that it's easier than it is. Well, it's not. So anyways, what I realized, like, I wanted to be the guy that owned the property. I wanted to have the house. I wanted to be able to live that lifestyle. And I knew that me being the GC, like, on the ground all the time meeting these clients, wasn't going to get me there, right? And neither was me doing the labor. No brainer. Okay, so if I can take the labor effort and how hard I'll work, and if I can take me building a GC company and a service business, how hard I'll work there, then I need to find something that's going to give me the lifestyle back, because most people are geographically stuck. So when you go create a building company, you're stuck there. You're building there. Everything. You're going to have an office. You're going to have people. You're going to have project managers once you start to scale. Maybe you just manage your own. And then you just get trapped. You don't even intentionally create this trap. Maybe one day you wanted to live in Hawaii all the time, but you're like, oh, well, now I have to wait till I sell this building company or I stop building. So don't do it that way. Think in reverse. What is the lifestyle you want to have? And then what will feed that lifestyle? And then you'll just start eliminating things that wouldn't give you that life, right? You'll start eliminating. Well, you're not going to go start a sandwich shop. You're not going to go do X, Y, and Z. You don't even say yes to those things. So now you have so many less options on the table to actually become successful. And for me, it was real estate investing. It's a no-brainer. And I'm not talking about just dumping money into properties. And I'm not talking about just flipping. I'm not talking about just wholesaling. I'm not talking about just rental property. I'm talking about being a real estate investor, understanding the whole concept, and learning some of the things that I'm talking about seller finance, which make me still, because I still accumulate a lot of cash flow and upfront money. But having all of those skills compound, and you can do those from your phone. From my phone I'm filming this with right now. And that's what I love about it. I mean, it just gave me the opportunities in life. So it's a beautiful day here in Texas, a little cloud cover. It's not that cold. It's probably like freaking 65, 70 degrees today. A little windy. That's the bad part about the Midwest. It's windy all the time. I'm from Oklahoma. But we'll be heading back to San Diego today. If you guys ever want to join one of my free live masterclasses, make sure you check the description below here in this YouTube video, because I explain everything. I'll walk you through how to find your first deal, where you find them, who you get them from, and how to build a full system, and then what to do with those deals. You know, how to fund those, what type of banking on those, and then also how to exit those. You know, what we just talked about, not just being a one-trick pony. And And once you learn all of those things, which isn't that hard to learn, right? You're through the process, you're learning those things, boom, geographical and financial freedom come. But whatever it is you guys go after, make sure it aligns with the lifestyle you truly want to have.